Welcome back to another episode of Standing in Our Truth. Clearly, we're in a different setting.
Yes, we are. Today we're at the Sachdev residence.
Yeah, my childhood home in San Jose, California. My poor mom, we shoot her off to her quarters upstairs. No, she's doing some work and giving us some space, and I've got a baby now. So
She's taking care of the baby, of
yeah.
course, a very important job. We've been taking like a 3-month break from you guys, and we've had a new member join the family, Princess Ziva. We're so excited to have her. And look how good she is. She's like letting Mama record a podcast, and Richa Masi joining the fun, and she's so good.
Yeah.
Just chilling.
We are so lucky. We're so blessed. Everything went well. The delivery, not as I expected, but we'll get into more details about that. And yes, we took a little break. Richa gave me maternity leave from the podcast. So a good 90 days to reset and just get into a rhythm and a flow, if that's even a thing as a new mom. And so today we thought we would talk about postpartum and its journey, and on a separate episode, talk about the process of Cameron and I getting pregnant and what that was like, because that was also a journey. But since this is so fresh and so new, and I'm going through different, I wouldn't say identity crisis, but like I'm going through different identities and just exploring the new role as a mom and how that fits into the life that we've created for ourselves at home. And so we are going to jump in and dive in and talk all things postpartum. And Richa, why don't you kick us off since you gave birth first?
Oh man. Well, I mean, we've been just covering so many topics like in the past 3 months as you've been preparing to give birth. And we've been talking about like you and Cameron and how that's changed. And I've just been relating so much as I've gone through obviously the same process. Armani's 5 now, but I mean, we've had such similar stories and postpartum like experiences. I mean, it was only natural that we go over it with you guys and dive into, some of the topics that I think a lot of moms, I mean, we're best friends, so we talk about these things. But I feel like when I'm talking to a mom at like our mom's school, we don't talk about some of the postpartum issues and stressors and judgments and family expectations. And so I'm really excited today to like do that live. And I want to cover like the emotional, physical identity shifts, everything you just mentioned. There's like so much there that I feel like we kind of hide from the world. And you kind of just see like, we see a beautiful baby and we see the mommy and daddy standing there in their perfect matching clothing in their photo shoot. And I'm like, welcome to the world. But we don't go like all that it took to get there and what happens after. So, I mean, I kind of like, I want to talk about a little bit about, back in May when, you had an idea of like, how you wanted the birthing process to look like and how societal expectations kind of have like you're in a higher level or a lower level depending on like what you do. And I remember talking to you about like, hey, don't like kind of do what your doctors say, do what your body feels, and don't like fall into the trap of like, winning some prize to do like to give birth a certain way. So hey, I mean, if you're comfortable sharing, I know you will with our listeners. So tell us about like that process and then I'll kind of share how I relate to it.
Yeah, so clearly I had expectations going into birth, and before that, they advise that you take birthing classes and you talk to other women about their experience. But what I'll say is, I took the birthing class, I talked to other mothers about their experiences of giving birth, and I got some really good advice, but no one prepares you for your own birth story. And so in my mind, I thought I was going to give, a seamlessly pretty easy birth. I had a decent pregnancy where I was only really sick in the first trimester. Everything kind of aligned and it went pretty well. And you know me, I'm very spiritual. So I'm like, I give it up to God. I give it up to the universe. Whatever's meant to be will be. But I still had an expectation, even though I surrendered my expectations. And that was to be on an epidural and have a birth vaginally.
Mhm.
And yes, I said that. And I didn't think there were going to be any complications because I thought, okay, I'm a healthy individual. Like so far, everything's been good. When I got to the hospital, I should mention I was going to be induced at 39 weeks because we went through IVF and because of my age. And so at 39 weeks, we were induced. So we had a scheduled appointment at the hospital. We showed up. We were like 45 minutes early, just sitting in the waiting room, just enjoying our last couple of minutes, like as, couple, right? Before we got to welcome Ziva into our family. And the first day was good. They started the protocol of like, dilating the cervix and thinning it out so that like water would break. And I should have known then like things were kind of going not downhill, but like not the way that I expected, which was 4 hours. I was only like 3 centimeters dilated. And then my water broke the next day at midnight. And I'm like, yes, my water broke. And this is going to happen. And the show's on the road. And 17 and a half hours later, I was still only 5 centimeters dilated. And the doctor, baby was doing okay. But doctor had mentioned, hey, we can continue the protocol of increasing Pitocin and getting you to 10 centimeters or starting to push up 9 centimeters. But it could end up in an emergency C-section. And, the nurse was amazing. She was telling me her experience and she's like, honestly, if you were my best friend, which is like when she said that, I was like, I trust you. Like if you're going to give me advice as your best friend, like, or your sister, I want to hear it.
Yeah.
And she said, I was 10 centimeters dilating, pushing, and I had to have an emergency C-section. They had to use the vacuum, and it was not good. She's like, if you're in this position and you have a narrow canal and your cervix is still very thick, she's like, go with the C-section. And at that moment, you texted me and you're like, don't put pressure on yourself to to deliver vaginally. Like, don't try to be a superhero. Like, just do what's right in your body. And like that moment, I closed my eyes and I was like, what do I want? And I was like, I want baby to be out. Like I wanted her, she was healthy, but I was putting more and more stress on her as I increased Pitocin. And I didn't want her to be in stress. And I didn't want to end up in a situation where I'd have to get an emergency C-section or have to use the vacuum or the VBAC. And so I decided to get the C-section in that moment. And then she was delivered literally like 5 minutes later. Like they wheel you into the OR and like it was the most beautiful birth. Cameron was amazing. Like, I mean, people tell him that all the time, but he is amazing. And he held my hand the whole time. We listened to Coldplay, which is our favorite band. And Siva came out and it was so beautiful. I was a little bummed that I couldn't deliver vaginally. But if I look back at it now, I'm in acceptance of it. And I'm like, just, it happened for a reason. And now we have a beautiful baby.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a perfect birthing story. I knew when you were going through it that the societal expectations and your expectations for yourself, as we always bring up on this show, would come up. And I was just worried about that. I was like, okay, Cameron was kind of filling me in on the side, like, okay, like she's fighting through. She like really wants to do it this way. And I just remember going through that in terms of just like knowing that people, think higher of like someone who gives birth vaginally. It's like, what? Why? What is it? I mean, your stomach being cut open to take out a new life is not like any less than like, having to push through. But I know you kind of had that in your head, right? And it kind of happened to me. Like when I gave birth to Armand, we had a very aligned story. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I know the doctor had said that it might be safer to do the C-section in my case, like way early on. And I was like, well, I want to try. Like I want to try it through. And I think it was less than the amount of time you like push through. But I was like, at one point, I was like, just get the baby out. And I just remember the first thing when I told like my parents and they told like my family in India, they were like, no, like they were so, it was like it's not what I expected, but they were like, I was getting calls like, we're so sorry. We heard that this happened. We're like, nope.
They're like
Like,
disappointed.
yeah, they were disappointed. Like my grandpa, he was like, how come this happened? Like, why did you have to do that? And I was like,
oh, like a medical complication.
and it's like, no, it's safe here. It went really well. It's totally fine. And so like it was kind of I had to kind of like I would say kind of defend like no, this is like the safer option. This is like the best for the baby. And I've been telling all my friends and family since then. I've heard things like, oh, well, I did all my kids naturally or I did this and that. And I was like, that doesn't make you like more of a mom than someone who gave birth a different ways. This is like a topic that I know a lot of people can relate to. I mean, look at your princess is beautiful. She was like, she had, you had a hard journey getting her here. Like, so why does it matter how like how she was birthed. So I don't know. I feel like I really am so proud of you that you I'm actually more proud of you for giving in to like the way instead of toughing it through and putting that on yourself. Cause who knows, it would have been like harder for you and Ziva. So
Yeah, that's the thing. There was so much uncertainty and that component of like not knowing what would happen even if I was fully dilated, right? Or
mhm.
I could deliver vaginally. And there was a moment in time where I was like, I'm going to do this natural. I'm going to go to a
Yeah.
birthing center. I'm going to deliver her in water.
Yeah.
And like realistically, like I don't deal with pain well. So
Yeah.
like I'm just like, no, I need an epidural and I
Yeah.
need, and my sister-in-law had just gone through this experience 6 months prior to me. So like I was getting her like advice on it and just listening to all the people. And I remember the day before going in to get induced, one of my friends was like, don't think you're more brave or stronger if you
Mhm.
don't do the epidural or if
Yeah.
you do the birth naturally. Either way, you're going to get the baby out. And
Mhm.
like all you want is a baby that's healthy. And like, I really related to that in the moment when I had to make the decision. Because after 17 hours, I was sweating. It was just too much. And we had been in the hospital for 3 days already. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is not where I want to be right now. Like, I want to
Yeah.
just be at home with the baby. It all ended up working out. And I think the pressures that we put on as a mother, like that we put on ourselves is just sometimes is so overwhelming
Mhm.
to the point where like I couldn't make the decision for myself in the moment. Like I remember when like I did close my eyes and ground and make the decision, I was still asking Cameron what I should do.
Mhm.
I was asking the doctor, like, is this the right decision? Should I do this? Like
Yeah.
I was second guessing myself. And part of it was exhaustion, but part of it is like I second guess myself. Like
Yeah.
I don't feel confident in my decision making. And so now that I'm a mother, I'm starting to experience that more and more is like, am I making the right decision as a mother? And like what I learned through this whole process was that like experience is going to teach us what is right for us. Like we just have to go with it. We have to
Yeah.
make the mistakes ourselves. We have to like fuck things up and like,
Yeah.
and figure it out.
Yeah.
Like that's how we learn and that's how we move on and that's how we grow. And
Yeah.
so now I'm like, as it like we can transition into new motherhood because there's even more pressures. And like the first one was like breastfeeding.
My gosh. Yeah, I think I gave you this warning. I remember telling you, like, this is not the hard part. Like, none of it, not the giving birth. I think it's after.
Yeah.
Like, I was in a different situation than you. I had a COVID baby. So, I didn't have people at the hospital. I didn't have people coming through to the house after. But, that in terms of like how we nourish our child, the fact that that is so much like the judgments around that is placed into other people's hands is a little that was really 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 hard for me. I had a hard time breastfeeding. I had to hire a consultant at my house, and I shared this with you. I was like, just be prepared for that. Like, it's not going to be easy. Like, don't think like the way they showed in the movies, like the baby's born, you like pop them on your boob and they're just like drinking away. I was like shocked by the fact that it didn't go like that.
Yeah.
I'd seen it with my sister. I'd seen her like struggle with like feeding and stuff. And so I kind of knew it was coming. But then when she did it successfully, I remember like she did it for a long time. And I was like, oh, like now that I'm kind of getting it, I need to be like, this is the way you nourish your baby the best. And I better be doing it for a long time because that apparently keeps the immunity of the baby much better, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember my doctor was like, just feed him.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Like, get them nourished. Like, as long as they get a little breast milk here and there, it's great. And so the expectation around that, I remember forewarning you that that's going to be like super hard. And like, was it? Can you share? Like,
Yeah.
how was it for you?
I mean, talk about more uncertainty. Like
Yeah.
I gave birth and then it's 10 p.m. at night. I'm exhausted and they're like, okay, now you got to start pumping and now you got to start producing milk. And I'm like, wait, what? Like hook up to this machine. And it was so much information at that time. And so no, my milk came in 5 to 7 days after. And so in that moment, I was freaking out. But there's a campaign and the doctors are like, fed is better. It doesn't matter if it's breast milk or
Yeah.
formula, as long as your baby is fed, like
Yeah.
you're keeping them alive.
Yeah.
And so the breast milk came in and I had a hard time breastfeeding. So like she had trouble latching
Yeah.
and I had to wear like a breast shield on my nipple. It was just
Yep.
so hard. And they're like, your nipple is too short. And I wear this breast shield and like that became, frustrating to put on because it wouldn't stay on and then she would
Yeah.
knock it off. I mean, and then you got to put a pillow and like you have to lift your breast and then it's like a two-person job.
Yeah.
Like Cameron's trying to help. It's so awkward. And then she would get frustrated and
Mhm.
fussy and like, I didn't want her to associate my boob with like agitation and
Yeah.
frustration. So I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is pump.
Yeah.
So now I'm exclusively pumping and I'm mixing it with formula
Yeah.
and I'm not being so hard on myself, but I still freak out that my milk supply is going to die. And what is the most troublesome for me right now is like, I think I have to breastfeed for 6 months. Or I have to
Yeah.
not breastfeed. I have to feed her breast milk for 6 months or 1 year. And I have my parents have an opinion, my siblings have an opinion, everybody has an opinion, and it's like I have
Yeah.
to do what feels right for me.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like I don't really like them.
It is not fun. Like,
It's not sexy at all.
it's not.
Yeah,
And there's all these fancy machines out there, but honestly, like, you're in pain, like, you're always like, dripping, and it's like
yeah,
you can't like get on with
leaking.
life.
Yeah,
So, I mean, yeah, it's great for the baby, but I mean, like, if it's not great for the mom, like, I don't think the baby is very happy either, like,
yeah,
in terms of like the way we react to like how hard it is. And when we can't get them to latch, we're agitated too. And, like, the amount of time we do it, I think I got caught up on that too. And I said it for myself. Like, when I got just like sick of it, I was like eating all these like, they had like these chocolates that they were selling that make you,
lactation.
I was like doing all that and people were feeding me, like my mom and mother-in-law were feeding me all this stuff. And they're like, this will help. And I was like, you know what? I think I literally, and people were like, why? I was like, I think I'm going to give myself a month more of this. And I was like, I think I'm done after that.
Yeah,
There was a lot of judgments placed on me around that. And like, oh, so and so did it for 3 years. I was like, that's awkward. You
yeah,
have a
that's
3 year old.
so.
They were like praised for that. I was like, that's great. First of all, that's like, I don't want to be that mom right now, but that's great for that mom. But I'm going to do like what's going to keep me happy, my baby happy, get them fed faster. And I call it a day.
Yeah,
But this is like a part of the journey that why didn't I wish like our medical team talked to us about it. Like, I wish our nurses, I wish my family talked to me about it a little more, but I just needed to warn you about it because, my best friend giving birth, I was like, just this part, you'll be fine. Like,
yeah.
this is the hard part. So, I guess we agree on that.
Yeah, it's the hard part. And I'm still wrestling with like, when should I stop? And ultimately, our mental health as mothers is more important, right? Like, do I want to show up for my daughter in a healthy manner,
Mhm.
in a happy and not always happy, but like, in a positive spirit, right?
Yeah,
Because energy is so important around the baby. When you're sad and frustrated or annoyed, they
totally.
feel that, right?
Yeah,
Like, and so I'm like literally looking at the clock now and I have to go and pump it in an hour, right?
yeah,
And it's like that's constantly in the back of my mind, which is like another thing that overwhelms my and takes space in my
mhm,
brain. And I want to be done. And so I haven't decided when. I keep prolonging it like one
yeah,
more week, one more week.
yeah,
And there is like a bond with the baby when you
yeah,
are breastfeeding or feeding them breast milk or
mhm.
whatever, breast pumping. So time will reveal, when I'll chunk the pump out the window.
I feel like I love that you brought up like about your mood and your emotions like as, like if you're happy the baby's happy and that reminds me of a lot of our topics on just like mental health. Like we're obviously in the field and that was something I think we both were kind of prepared for that part because we know that we see a lot of moms with postpartum and a
Yeah.
lot of issues coming up there. And so the baby blues and like the anxiety of like something will happen to my kid and like intrusive thoughts. And like, yeah, I would love for you to like share a little bit about how your mental health took a toll. I mean, this is when you're supposed to be the happiest. You have your baby in your hands that you've wanted for so long. You and Cameron had the journey of like IVF and you have them. It's like, why am I not happy yet? Like, why am I not the happiest I've been? And I want you to answer like how you like, I relate to that. Like that was I was like slapping myself, like, what is wrong with you? Be happy right now. But our emotions just, our
Yeah.
hormones, everything changes. So
Yeah, it was like an out of body experience. I mean, like literally out of the body. And I felt disconnected. Like I had some postpartum baby blues pretty intensely. Like I remember, like you're in a fog already coming home. And then I wasn't prepared for the recovery from a C-section either. So like
mhm,
physically, like it's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to do things just in general physically. And then on top of that, like feeling like I remember looking at her and like thinking, is that my baby? Like, did I, is that my baby? Like, it was like I was in this dream state. And there was also family there helping take care of me and baby Ziva. So, everyone's saying, go rest, go sleep. We got it. We got it. And so I was taking advantage of that, but then also just not feeling like I could relate to her. And then all of a sudden, like 5 to 6 days after, I would just start crying for no reason. Like I would be, and I tell Cameron like I need to go in bed and take a nap, and really what I would do is cry. And I was trying to hide it from everyone too, like because I didn't want people to think like, oh, what's wrong? You know, what's wrong with her? Mom's gonna think like, shouldn't you be, or saying something like, shouldn't you be grateful? Like,
Mhm.
just like you
Yeah.
relate to you, like, or why are you not like happy right now? You have a baby, you work so hard to get it.
Mhm.
Um, and it was really intense. It was a bit of a dark period too. And then 2 weeks or 3 weeks out, I talked to mental health professionals. I talked about medication. I got back on a protocol with psychiatrist, and I'm much better now. But there are days too still that I feel lower than normal. Still have that brain fog and
Mhm.
fatigue, and everyone around me is like, "You're a new mom. You're a new mom." That's just part of it. But I still get internally frustrated with myself because I'm like,
Yeah.
shouldn't this be the best time in my life? Yeah. What was your experience?
It was a little different just again because Armand was born in 2020, COVID,
Cat.
right in the middle of
Oh my God.
COVID. It was actually sad. I wanted people like, I would have loved for you to be there. I would have loved for my family to be there during like, after I had the baby. Other people were telling me it's a blessing, like you get time to yourself. And I was like, I need family and friends right now. Like it was, we had to be like, it was just like me and Inder allowed in the room and no visitors. And that was hard. Like, and so I kind of like just knowing it was going to happen, I prepared myself and I was like, this might be harder because you won't have people. You can't even like see a therapist and you can't like go outside of your house. People wouldn't let me, like my family wouldn't let me take walks with Armand because they said someone might like breathe around you and Armand will get COVID. I mean, long story short, I mean, we did get COVID. We had people coming into
Didn't.
the house, and I think like we weren't sure if Armand got it or not, but pretty sure like in that time he did. But anyways, mental health wise, like I struggled. I would always think like I was gonna do something like drop him. Like I'm clumsy. I had thoughts like scary thoughts of that. I didn't really. I guess this is just coming to mind right now, and you know it, but I didn't think I'd share it on the podcast today. But I like the way I coped with that, the unhealthy thoughts was like I was like I made a goal for myself which was just lose weight, like get to your pre mommy, like get back to that. And that was my coping skill. It helped. Sure. I was like on a mission every day. Like, what can I do to like get into the shape I was before? I actually went like it did not end up well for me. I ended up like probably worse than I was before having the baby, but I accomplished the goal that helped my mood, whatever. But that helps me dive into like we're diving into mental health and like about like how we feel after the baby and then it comes to like the expectations of like bouncing back into your
Oh my
pre
God.
mommy bodies and how
Can't.
quickly that's expected and that was just kind of a perfect transition because I mean I dove right back into my disordered thinking and went into that direction. I know you've been talking about like like how did you do it? I was like you don't want to know but like share a little bit about like how you felt about like the expectations around body uh with moms, like or maybe it's on yourself. Like I
Yeah.
know a lot of it has to do with like how you feel about how you want to be back to like, pre-birthing weight or whatever. What's your thoughts?
I mean, I'm definitely in this like I wouldn't say self-hatred, but like self-loathing of like I have to lose this weight. Like now I'm almost 90 days out. Like how have I not dropped the weight? And honestly, I had an expectation that after the baby I would have dropped like 20 pounds and I did. And I was like, wait, what? Like I
I think
thought
that
that
was from me and
yeah.
I shouldn't have said that out loud, but anyway.
Well, and everybody's different, right?
Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah.
I have a friend right now that's also like 4 months postpartum, and she is closer to her pre-baby weight, and I'm 30 plus pounds away. And so I'm like, how'd you do it? What'd you do? And I'm comparing like the way that I'm trying to lose weight to her to the way that she's losing weight. And it's so crazy. And like, I'm trying different diets right now. I'm like yo-yo dieting too, because I'm obviously home with my parents and they eat differently than what I normally do back home. And so it's a lot. I feel I put pressure on myself, but I also compare myself to other people and like you and your experience, which is like you quickly went back to your pre-baby weight, but then you also mentioned that you did it in an unhealthy way.
Very unhealthy way. I think I'm pretty sure I told you, I'm like, I could tell you, but I don't recommend it because I ended up just I look at my pictures from back then, holding her man at like I think it was like 9 months or whatever. It was like the volley season, and I have a picture in my suit, and I remember like comments. I was pissed off back then because I know my mom was like, "Look at her now, like what did she do?" Like, and I was like, "Oh, please, like I
Yeah.
look great." And I look back and I'm like, "Ew, like what did I do to myself?" It was my way of coping, but I'm pretty sure I shared with you that it's not like it wasn't a good direction. I wouldn't recommend it to you. Highly, highly, highly do not recommend to anyone to like lose it that fast because again it affected the breastfeeding. It affected the my mood because I thought it would get better, but then I was on this whole like this roller coaster of like still not loving the way I looked, and that was the heart. That's when I knew it was like more mental health related. Like the weight loss wasn't going to help me in my postpartum issues. So basically it did not help the situation, but there people can do so many things that like help your mood after, like yoga classes and like just healthy eating, like whole foods and all that good stuff. And so that's, I mean, what I recommended now. And you look so great. Like people, of course, we don't see it in ourselves, but as your BFF, I look at you and I'm like, how does she look so good that
Oh
fast?
my God, I'm like looking at myself now.
Of course.
Yeah. I think part of it too is we not only compare ourselves to other people, but we compare ourselves to older versions. And I think I'm realizing more and more these days that like I'm never gonna be that older version of myself, and I shouldn't want that older version of myself. Like I'm a mom now. Never gonna be the same again, and not in a oh my God nostalgic or there's regret or like sad that I'll never be that person again. It's like I'm ever evolving and changing who I am today. And there's going to be a new me, and it may look different physically. And my clothes, it's like my biggest pain point. My clothes don't fit the same. And maybe I'll need to get a new wardrobe, but I'm still going to make an effort to maybe not get to the pre baby weight or and maybe not focus on the number, but like feel my best. And like,
Yeah.
you know me, I love the physical activity and the working out and exercise. So I just haven't had the energy to do that. And like I'm just giving myself grace right now of like I'm still trying to get in a rhythm, a routine with Ziva. I'm not sleeping like, 8 hours every night. My cortisol is probably through the roof because sleep's just crazy. But I'm glad you shared your experience and you just told, like shared that like it wasn't the best way and it was disordered thinking and all that stuff. Cause like I can feel myself going down that path, but like we both know better,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Know better now.
yeah, now that we're in recovery, like we do know better. And so I'm gonna give myself some grace and not nitpick on how I look and just enjoy this time with baby Ziva because she's changing so much every day right now.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And I got very lucky with a husband that is so supportive and like is very hands-on with the baby. You and I talked about the roles as a mother. Like I know people that still think that like, oh, it's the mother's sole responsibility to keep this baby alive for the first year because they're the ones that feed them, they're the ones that gave birth, or like that, that it all falls on the mother. We're in 2025, like the roles should maybe not be 50-50. And I don't even like to use the numbers, but like there should be split responsibilities. Part of the reason I went to exclusively pumping is so that we could bottle feed her and Cameron could feel that bond with her too. And so I feel so blessed and lucky. Like he is incredible. I learned more from him about like taking care of Ziva and like just, you know, her habits and routines and not freaking out if she's like not sleeping through the night from him than I do from the books because he's had experience with newborns. They raised foster babies. So like he's had experience with that. So yeah, the society telling us that like the mother has the sole responsibility of the child or it falls on the mother is just ridiculous.
Oh my God. I remember sitting outside, like you finally had called me. You had had Ziva, and then I was waiting for like the catch up call, and you had called me and you were telling me, we started talking about the piece that you just brought up right now. and how there's such little emphasis, like, why is there such little focus on the father? It's like, 50, the baby's 50-50. It's
Yeah.
made from the mother and the father. Sure, we carry the baby and sure we birth the baby, but once the baby's out, it's again, I think 50-50. And it plays it has an effect on both the mother and father. Like not only do the mothers change, the fathers, their lives change completely. Like they don't have just like one responsibility. They're focused on, like now it's like taking care of the family as a whole. I remember bringing up too, you had brought up some stuff like how there was some like, it was hard. Like you and Cameron were like having like more quarrels and you were having a few relationship issues. And it reminded me of like how bad it got, like for us. Like, again, you expect like, oh, we have a kid now, we have our mommy, daddy, and baby now, and how much of a toll it takes on both parents when you should be the happiest. But I remember seeing it like in they're like seeing him more stressed, seeing him like I've shared his history and like I confirmed I could talk about it, but he'd started like right at the hospital. Like I saw like a change in terms of like not being able to handle the stressors of like staying up. And he would let me sleep and he was taking care of Ramon, and Ramon had some like breathing issues and iron issues. And I remember like he was having trouble handling it. So just like the way I like went straight to my like, oh, I'm gonna get into shape, I think he started like numbing immediately. And it takes a toll on the dad. And I mentioned the coping skills because like we have like those issues. And like I think, and you could share like, how you and Cameron like dealt with it, but like the emphasis that we put on the mom, it's like lacking in like what we give to the fathers of the changes in life, of the emotions, just because they don't have like the hormones necessarily changing in them. I feel like their whole world changes, their personalities change, their fears change. And so like what can I know I you shared it with me personally, but maybe you could share with our listeners a little bit about like how, how Cameron might have struggled a little bit and how you guys like how the relationship changed a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely think the partners go through a sort of postpartum, and they go through this transitional phase where their responsibilities change, and overnight, your whole entire life is kind of turned upside down. And Cameron, I think, handled it really well. He is such a responsible individual. He is big on safety and he's big on like keeping the baby healthy, you know. And I saw a shift in him of like he entered into this role of like, I am the caregiver of the family. I am now the protector. I'm going to keep my family safe. And so logistically it was about feeding times, and he thinks like that. He's very methodical, and I remember thinking like, wow, I knew this about Cameron, but now I'm seeing it in a heightened way. And there was a part of me that missed the old version of Cameron. I was like, "Oh, I want the old Cameron back," and he kept on saying like, but our lives are not the same. This isn't, it's a newer version of us. This is a new life that we've created. And so he's definitely settled into the role now. It's not like heightened safety, and it's not about like timings of feedings and the way that the nursery was set up, and like things were done around the house. Because the first couple of days is such a transition. It was so new to us. But I remember thinking, man, he's going through his own postpartum journey, and I have to give him that space because they go through an identity shift as well, just like we do. And you're right, like they don't have the hormones, maybe they don't have the blues like we do, but they do have some type of blues because they're now a father.
Yeah.
Their lives change in a way that like they have to mourn their past, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't have the freedom to do whatever they want now. Now we're kind of tied down to the three of us,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it's been a journey, and now we are communicating so much better, and we're a lot more open about where we are. Where it was like, okay, where are you right now? Like, what percent can you give to this relationship and this family right now? And if I'm feeling like tired today, or it's less than 50%, okay, I got you. I'll take the remaining 70% and I'll give a little more effort. And so it's been fun, and it's gonna change, and it's gonna continue to require us to be more open to each other and give each other grace. And looking forward to it. I mean, it's been hard.
Yeah. I love that you said earlier about like the changes and how you have to embrace like I will never be the same. I'll never have the same body. I'll never have the relationship. We're never
Yeah.
gonna have the same relationship that we
Yeah.
once did when we were maybe when we were dating, like that fun time to when we're getting married to now having a kid. And then it's the post having a kid,
Yeah.
which our relationship changed, I would say like four times after Armand has been born. Probably at the strongest it's been now after like the hardest times. But it's there's so much beauty in that, and I wouldn't have said it last year or the year before, but now I'm like, wow, Armand wasn't born, if we didn't go through what we went through, like the roles we play right now in Armand's life, they wouldn't be as strong as they are.
Yeah.
You know, there's financial responsibilities, there's things that you don't think about before you have a kid. Now we know we look at things differently, and I think the changes are good. Like, and I have to think that with our body too. Like, yes, we'll see celebrities like bouncing back, like back to the Victoria's Secret fashion show with, you know, they had
Yeah.
their baby and they're back and those kind of things make it really hard, but, you know, we're not living that life, like, that's not first of all, that's not our career,
Yeah.
where we don't need to be that
Right.
impressive. We're on a podcast with our friends and listeners and each other, and we don't need to be, like, judging on, like, do I look like perfect for this or whatever? But also like the changes are like we couldn't talk about this stuff without like all the good and bad and the beautiful in between. Because I think just looking at your life now and like looking at where we are, I think without like it's the butterfly, right? Like
Yeah.
we had to go through all those beautiful changes and I wouldn't change them.
I wouldn't either. And I'm
Yeah,
so glad we did this. It was really cathartic and it was nice to process it, and
totally.
relive it a little bit. So
Absolutely. And the first time we get to do it live together, sitting close by, it makes it so much easier actually. Like
it really
I
does.
don't like being far from you and
Yeah.
this makes it easier to talk about all the things we've been wanting to. So